Hi, everybody. Tommy here from Queers and Soaps. I just wanted to introduce you to some friends of mine who are about to embark on some fun soap opera discussion. So tune in and enjoy, and I will see you soon.
Hello, welcome to Queers and Soaps. We're doing a special of Dallas today, and we're going to be talking about the Dallas, the early years TV movie. So we'll get right into it. Tommy, roll those credits. All right. So this is the Dallas prequel that we're talking about. It aired during season 9 of the series Dallas, which was well after Jock passed away in real life. John, what is his name?
Jim Davis.
Jim Davis.
Davies.
Jim Davis. I was going to say John Davis. So Jim Davis passed away right before I think season 5, I believe. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, so I'm pretty
Um,
sure that he doesn't make appearances in the show post season 4. So
yeah,
after that
he's
finale
mentioned.
oh yeah, he's mentioned
Yeah,
constantly. And like they
yeah,
do
for
yeah,
years.
yeah. Yeah,
But
yeah, like yeah.
so this was a 3-hour miniseries that aired. So I think season 9 was on. So this was March 23rd, 1986. And season 9, I think, went off in May of 86. So well after Digger died in the show and Jock died in the show. So I must feel like they should have done this a lot sooner, which is why we
Well
did.
it was also yeah, yeah. Well, it's also too like by then Jason had been mentioned properly and yeah, and the
Yeah,
cousins had sort
everything,
of
yeah, everything was established at this point of everybody that's going to be in this movie. And it was, I feel like it was like the first 3 years they mentioned a lot of all that stuff that happened,
yeah.
within the movie. Um, so this was a 3-hour miniseries, which did not need to be 3 hours. This kind of reminds me, do you watch that show Yellowstone?
Yeah, yeah.
You watch it?
Well, I
So
haven't watched it. I've only watched a couple of episodes because it's one of those sort of newer ones that are sort of like like the drama, the ones that are sort of more like they're trying to be more dramery rather than soapy, even though it kind of branches over
yeah.
regardless. Yeah, but like I know that their episodes, just their everyday, like their normal episodes, are quite long.
So so I only watched like the first season of Yellowstone, but they also have like a prequel of Yellowstone with Harrison Ford, I think, is in that, and
Yeah,
so is Helen Mirren, Dame
yeah,
Helen Mirren.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
They've got two
so
prequels.
this kind of reminds me of like that type of thing. Like, like
Yeah.
it's we kind of bounce back and forth between 1951 and 1933. So we'll get into that right now. So it starts out with this man. Can you see it?
Yeah,
With the
mostly.
glare.
Yeah,
Remember
yeah.
my
It looks
JR
like
doll that I got in Southwark?
yeah.
Starts out with him telling somebody, I don't know who he's talking to. I guess the audience, but he's kind of like faced somebody and it looks like somebody's in the room.
Oh
And he's
yeah, I
talking about,
presume it's like a
and he's,
researcher or something. JR's talking to like I guess like yeah, like a
yeah,
historian researcher or
talking
something.
about, talking about Jock, Miss Ellie, and Digger.
Yeah.
Um, so I got Molly Hagan as Miss Ellie, Dale Midkiff as Jock, who is a pretty hot man. He's a hot Jock.
He does well, yeah.
Yeah, and David Grant played Digger. Also noting that Juliette Lewis's dad, Jeffrey Lewis, is in this, who was also in Falcon Crest.
Ah, I didn't know that
He,
one. No, I didn't.
I forget his name, but he played. We'll talk whenever we get to it. I forget his name, but I think I wrote it somewhere.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, he was in. Remember, he played Julia's love interest in season 3 when she went
Ah,
mad.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I love him. I feel like I've seen him. He's in everything. I feel like he was in Charlie's Angels. He's just does everything.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I always liked him as an actor, and I think he acted up until he passed, and he also has like a lot of credits under his belt. Like he's in a ton. Like he acted right up to like 5 years ago before he
Oh,
passed.
yeah, yeah.
So we started out in South Fork Ranch in 1951. Looks like Digger's on his way there. Um,
Yes.
and do these character or these actors, don't they like who they are right away? Like you like even watching it like the first time I watched it, I'm like, they're Digger. Like the way he like walked and he was drunk, you're just like, that's Digger.
Yeah, yeah, and like
They
the
really
sort of strawberry blonde, like all
mm,
that, you can see that just like in the first actor, particularly who portrays Digger in the series. He's still got it's all sort of dirty and like almost oil
yeah.
stained still, but yeah,
He looks like a
um,
mess of a person. And I think they're
yeah,
only what are they? I guess they're in their I'm gonna say 40s at that point, you think?
it has to be
Or
right because
50s?
at that point Jock's starting to like grey up,
Yeah.
so I would
So that was
assume,
yeah. Um, so yeah, he's on his way. He's angry. I think he has a gun. We see Miss Ellie calling Junior. She's calling JR. We see him. He's already acting a fool at whatever age he was, 16,
I'm
19.
presuming he's like 16, 17 there or something like that, but
Yeah.
he's already like doing his thing,
And
like
he's going to meet a girl in the barn.
yeah,
Boom. Um, and Digger has a gun. Ellie screams, Willard, no! He shoots. We flash back even further to 1933. Um, where we see Ellie yelling, Willard, are you ready? She calls him Willard the whole time, which we established that in season one sometime when she calls him Willard.
yeah.
She's the
Barbecue, I
only
think
one
it
that
was.
calls him Willard. Yeah,
Yeah.
barbecue. Um, I also noticed an actress from Guiding Light, Liz Kiefer,
Oh,
played Blake, played Blake on Guiding Light.
oh, okay.
Um, yeah, she's the redheaded girl that is involved with Garrison.
Ah, yep, 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 yep.
Yeah, so they're having a party at South Fork. Maybe a barbecue. I don't know. I don't know if
Oh,
they
yeah.
really go. The
It is a
barbecue's been going on
tradition.
for yeah. Willard says he loves Ellie. Um, uh, I have he shamed her drinking and climbing on the furniture.
Uh,
Didn't he? Oh yeah, like didn't he climb on something and like fall like a mantle
oh,
or
yeah,
something?
yeah. He was just like fucking around basically, and like she's trying
Yeah,
to sort of like get him to sort of chill out, basic, because he's blasted. He's like off his face.
already. Yep.
Yeah,
Well, I guess all of this stuff happened in 1933 and ongoing. So I guess, at this point he is fucked up. But he made it a long time for being a drunk. He made it to the 70s.
yeah, yeah. He does. Yeah,
Good on you, Digger. Um, so yeah, he's like, I guess he is ashamed of himself, whatever, for acting a fool. Um, that's, oh, didn't he? This is where wasn't he started like he starts kissing Miss Ellie and she's kind of like pushing him off a
yeah,
little bit,
yeah. He
like.
tries to do the whole love declaration thing, and like she's just kind of like like not.
And
I, yeah, she just sort
he's
of
still
pushes him back.
drunk,
Yeah, he's drunk. He's just being yeah,
and her brother Garrison comes in and starts trying to fight him, and he climbs out the window and falls. Splat.
yeah. Severely hurts
Ellie,
himself.
Ellie thinks he's dead. She's like, he's dead. So dramatic.
You get an embarrassment for it.
Yeah. Um, and he broke some. Did he twist? What did he
Yeah,
do?
he smashed his wrist or something like that. I don't know if he
Smashed his
no.
wrist,
Yeah,
which comes out later even more. I guess he has this wrist issue for the rest of his life, basically from this fall. I mean, it was a
yeah,
fall. I mean, he fell from the roof pretty much.
yeah. I think they use it later just to sort of display kind of like how like not just it's not sort of like an irresponsibility thing. It's like he doesn't he is like a proper drunk. He's reckless and he hurts himself. And so
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
that. And yeah, I think that's more of like an end movie thing where it's just a reflection of like Digger still being the same sort of destructive drunk.
Yeah, so what I gathered from this, like I said Ellie's dad wanted to give Willard's dad land because he saved his life at one point.
So they were
But
good
they don't
friends. Yeah, they were
yeah,
friends, and then he's like saved his life, and he's wanted to give him land at the sort of like objection of Digger's father. You know, like
okay.
he didn't. Yeah, like there was that thing where he's like, "Oh, I basically had to force him to take it," and then he only
Yeah.
took it when, sorry, he only sort of accepted it like on the deathbed when it would be used to sort of look after his kid.
Yeah. And then we go back to 1951. Well, I guess forward to 1951. And the
Yeah,
shot
yeah,
goes off.
yeah,
um I have JR comes out saying like he won't shoot. Ellie talks him down. JR's already like fucking with the Barneses. I guess his dad raised him that way, and Digger probably done this before. So
yeah, yeah. So like he
guessing.
comes out, he confronts Jock, and there's like the big, and there's all the people that are like, "Holy shit, he's got a gun!" And Jr. comes along, being mouthy as usual, and
Right.
yeah,
And then the same doctor that worked on Cliff's wrist back in the day is the same doctor that takes care of him in the current day, which I thought was funny.
yeah. Well, I suppose they're going for like if it's sort of like the Ewing barbecue vibe, they would have just invited all the people that they sort of know, you know.
Yeah. And then
Yeah,
we flash back to 1933, where it looks like Digger and Jock meet for the first time. They're both on a train. I
yeah,
don't remember if it said where they were going. Somebody attacks Digger and Jock fights them off. They shake hands, talk about each other's boots, and move
well,
on.
it's like apparently, like if you've got the spare boots or something, you're like asking for trouble because like people will try and take them or
Right.
something. Like, yeah, it was something like that. Like, yeah, and so like he's like, oh, they're my dad's boots or whatever. And he's like, yeah, but it's like it's trouble, like something like that, anyways. And then they
And
hit like
meanwhile,
and bond
and me,
over half a sandwich each.
and then back at the ranch, cattle are dying off,
Mm.
and um, Miss Ellie, or what is her, what is her name? Like, do they call her Ellie? Oh, it's just Ellie,
Yeah, I'm
right?
pretty sure they just call her Ellie. Yeah,
I'm so
it's
used
just
to
not.
calling her Miss Ellie. I don't know her name, but her name's
Yeah,
actually
no,
Ellie.
no, no, I'm pretty sure they just
But
call her Ellie through
it's
most of.
just Ellie.
I'm pretty sure all of it, honestly. Yeah,
So yeah, Ellie and her dad are like running around trying to figure out the cattle situation. Like they're all just
yeah,
dying everywhere. Um, and then they say something like no oil's found. Digger was right. So I guess he knew that there was no oil wherever they were looking for it.
yeah.
Um, Jack.
Establishing
Oh,
the idea that Digger has like a knack for it.
right. So eventually, and if probably when we're doing season two of Dallas again, or I don't even, maybe even season three, I don't remember when it is, but anyway, we meet Amanda, who is Ray's mama,
Yeah,
and she's at a mental facility. I don't really know why she went crazy. I don't remember the situation because we didn't do those episodes yet in the Dallas
pretty
ones.
sure. I'm pretty sure they said something even in the early years that like shit's it's kind of like inherited.
Mm. So she
Like
just went bonkers.
I think that it's all covered up with that weird sort of not weird, but like you know that old sense of like privacy as well as not really understanding how mental health is. You know, like
Yeah,
I think that's actually something that reflects a lot in this movie too, is the times that a lot of this stuff is sort of taking place in, which is which is funny because people would probably do that about the 80s now, you know.
yeah,
But
for sure.
yeah, so like I think they do sort of imply that it's sort of like she was predisposed already, like she was genetic, but they didn't really talk about sort of what set her off. It's more like when
Yeah,
we see Jock with her, it's more about him just kind of trying to sort of, you know, reach her, and she's just in her own
yeah.
world.
Like Reach, I guess, who we fell in love with. They don't really go into like that many details of it. We might
Yeah,
find more out in the series when we watch again,
I
because
largely think it is more about Jock's journey. Like, so I know it sounds like
yeah,
but I do think it's more of like a reflect. Like, obviously, there's like check boxes that the movie has to do after being produced in season 9, but
right,
you've got to color that too. Like you've got to go back and sort of like look at what Jock's words when they talk about that. I think in season 4, I think it was when Amanda shows up. I think,
right.
but because she thinks he's Bobby. Sorry, she thinks
That
Bobby's Jock. Yeah.
right. In
But
the
anyway,
series, this is not the
yeah, in the
movie.
series.
But
Yeah, getting like
Bobby, I think,
sidetracked now.
yeah, Bobby doesn't exist in 1933
No,
right
no,
now.
not currently, no. But no, I
So
think it's largely about Jock sort of like kind of going out there and trying to make his fortune while he's still like he's doing
right,
the
he's
honorable thing
young,
of like, taking care of his sick wife and all that
right.
and blah.
So we see Digger like walking around, like kind of dancing around on like the soil.
Yeah,
Apparently, which is what he said in the series, that he smells out the oil, and Jock is like the money guy, and like the one
yeah,
that. So and clearly it shows he's feeling it out. He senses oil. Jock says Foster can get rich if they let him drill. So Foster, which one's Foster again?
um,
I forget.
oh God. I remembered the other. I'm not sure about the Foster one because I ended up sort of focusing more on the later one with the where they what was his name, Brandon or Branson or something like that.
The one after. All right, well, this is
Yeah,
the
yeah,
first one. So
yeah. No,
anyway,
yeah, I forgot
there's a
his
guy
name.
Foster that they say that he can get rich, but they need $10,000 to get it going. So Digger, being the gambler that he was already, he's like, I'll gamble the money and get it, whatever. He plays high stakes poker and wins a ton of money.
Yeah.
Um, then so that was, I think that was it for that part. And then I forget what it went into. Oh, here we go. Jock and Digger fight over his alcohol problem. Apparently, he gave a whore or a prostitute or whatever, lady of the night, his money.
Yeah, so it was the money that he won. I'm pretty sure it was the money that he
Yeah,
won, and he
gave
gambled.
all the
He
money
gave,
to them.
yeah, and because Jock was starting to
Or-
get sort of Jock catches her leaving with it,
yeah,
and he sort of it's more of a I sort of get where he's coming from, but damn, he sort of shot himself in the foot there. I mean, like he lets her go in terms of teaching Digger like to have more responsibility. You've told her this sort of thing,
yeah.
blah blah
He said she
blah.
could
But
have the money, and he let her go. I would have been like, no. Give me that
yeah,
money. You
I'm like
owe.
I would have just probably still taken the money and lectured him the next morning.
And then in the meantime, we have Jason around, who is Jock's
Yeah,
brother. He's around.
yeah, he
He
was
breaks the
helping.
book.
Yeah, he was just like, yeah. Sorry, keep
This
going.
was funny when they got in the fight. It was like, I think Jason hits Digger, then he hits Jock. Like everybody's just hyped. They're like all just hitting each other.
This is all over the
Um,
money that he gave to the sex worker as well.
yeah. Foster believes that Jock, Jason, and Digger want to take a chance for oil. I guess, which I'm trying to think. Oh, Ed Porter is the one that I think you're talking about. He's the oil guy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
He's the one that was played by Jeffrey Lewis.
yeah. Okay.
Um, the townsmen try to stop them from digging. There's a shady sheriff in town. They're a part of like this Ku Klux Klan type shit situation. Um,
Yeah,
gets a little crazy.
it does actually. Like, so it's sort of like some weird deal with the land. So the
Yeah, I didn't
African American.
understand this stuff.
Well, it was just more like it was weird. It was like he let people like they own the land, but they don't, and they have to give like he also own like it was just a very weird setup in which they sort of were giving him profits out of what they make and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
I
like
wasn't sure. yeah, the setup for that land stuff, like, it was sort of glossed over a little bit, but like, yeah, essentially, the issue is that if they, because Digger ends up smelling oil there, and the issue was that if they were going to drill for oil and they struck, that the bloody landowner wouldn't. I'd say they'd have leases. Actually, I think that's what it was.
Right.
It was a lease. It was a lease. That's right. It was a lease because Jock goes over their contracts, and he talks about the particular use of the language and stuff like that, and how like yield was used in reference to what you get from the land, so that could mean anything. But
Right.
basically, they were worried that if they didn't, if they drilled for land, that the people who held the leases wouldn't actually let any of the people who were living there keep any of it. So yeah,
Right. And everybody in the town had like a piece of this land, right? Like,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then so if they struck, the town would basically be rich
Essentially, yeah. And then
if
but
they
then sort of, yeah, but like the landowners, they were worried more about that, and it was because
yeah.
a lot of the racism issue, like it
Yeah.
was, yeah, a lot of the
And
leaseholders were well, all of them were African American. It was their town's community.
and then I think that the sheriff didn't want them, the African Americans, to get the land because then they were like outside trying to light the place on fire and shit.
So I think that was to cover up, like, so they didn't want to share the profits. So like, and so they sort of were trying to essentially get rid of the problem because the landowners, sorry, the leaseholders, which would be the African American community there, were petitioning to have their rights, basically
Right.
listened to, and they had Jock and the actual drillers backing them up essentially.
Yeah. I was confused with all of that stuff. I was like, what is happening?
Oh, it just played into it. They just, I guess they tried to like just play into a lot of sort of issue because they do mention the depression a whole lot, especially
Yeah.
and stuff, and how everybody is struggling and how things have gotten a lot worse. And I suppose, I mean, I don't know the full history of Texas or anything, but maybe there's just parts of that you can't ignore if you're doing a period piece in the era, especially with
Yeah.
Lando. So I don't, yeah.
Right.
But either way, they end up coming at them all dressed like Klansmen and like
Yeah.
dipshits. There's like a dramatic no about the fire, and then some dipshit drops their torch and sets the whole place
Yeah.
alight. So that's great.
Dummy.
Yeah. All the while,
Um,
like, you've got Ellie and all that waiting for Digger to sort of hit it big, or supposed to hit it big. Um,
yeah, I have that they were all worrying, and Ellie's dad starts action shit. Like he brings an axe and just like starts hitting shit.
yeah.
Then they finally strike oil. So they'll all be equal partners in the oil shares.
Mm.
Um,
At
Digger
least
is
that's
loaded one. Digger is
uh,
loaded once again.
yeah,
He wants to call Ellie. Jock covers him up.
yeah,
Um, taking care of him still, even though he's a kind of deadbeat drunk at this time.
yeah.
Um,
Getting a lot worse. Is this the point where he grabs over the shoulder and takes Digger back in the car?
yeah, I think so.
Because that's also the point where Digger was going to again do the big confessional, like marry me sort of vibe, and
Yeah,
he passes out before he can do it. Essentially.
yeah. Jason comes back from wherever he was. He's engaged to somebody all of a sudden.
Oh yeah, there was that thing. He said he was going to go see his girl or whatever after
Yeah.
the yeah, and
So I
then he
guess
comes
they
back
struck
and
it.
yeah,
Um, and all right. Jason marries. We still the fire explosion. So that's like during that stuff.
yeah. Also,
Oh
the time
yeah,
where he swings
Jock
Digger over is
blames
the first flirty bit we
Jock.
see with Jock and Ellie.
Yeah, Jock blames Jason for the stuff that went down too, which is
Yeah,
why
because he
their
was like
relationship. Yeah, that's why
deteriorated.
their relationship is the way it is in the series. And I don't think Jason's daughter comes back until about season 7, 8, or 9, something in there. I don't
Is that
remember
Jamie? It's
exactly.
Jamie, isn't it?
Jamie, yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's like season 8.
Yeah,
I think.
I think so.
Because
I can't remember. I thought it was like in the middle of a season or like toward the end of a season. I can't remember.
yeah.
So Jason leaves because I guess he's getting blamed. So he's like, "Fuck this, I'm out." Um, Ellie busts into her brother and Sherry having sex. That was weird. I didn't really get that part. She breaks in or whatever the room and like he's hiding in the closet and Sherry's in there just like naked and she's like ignoring that he's there. I'm like, what is happening? I was confused with that.
Yeah, it was like a weird bit of a weird scene. I wasn't.
Maybe, maybe because they weren't married and in 1933 you shouldn't do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. It
I'm
might have been that
guessing.
actually. Yeah, because you don't really
Like
see
if,
like. Yeah,
and she probably knew he was. I mean, he was right in front of her face, so she couldn't. But she was kind of ignoring that he was there, but
yeah,
doing her thing.
yeah,
I guess that was showing their brother sister dynamic. Like she's kind of covering his ass, by not telling her dad.
yeah.
Because I really didn't understand that scene until I'm like, I'll just talk about it and see what happens if I get it. Willard comes home. Ellie is very happy to see him. You know, she loves him at this point for now. Ellie tries to have a serious conversation with him. She's like, I remember the night you said I loved me, or you loved me. I loved me. You
I mean,
loved me. He's loaded, and another thing. This is what right. I hate when people say like she felt womanly feelings for him. I'm like, what is that?
she was
Womanly
horny.
feelings. Is that what that? Is that what that?
That's the only thing I can think of.
That makes
Like
sense, I guess. Yeah.
uh,
I didn't. I'm like, who talks like that? I don't know. I guess
people
they
in the
couldn't say horny.
30s.
People in the 30s. He falls asleep. Um, I have they kiss. Did she
Yeah,
kiss him when he fell asleep?
I'm pretty sure they do like kiss and stuff, but nothing's ever consummated. Like every time that yeah, he tries to do anything major, he like passes out or like
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, this is when Jock came by and picked up Digger.
yeah.
I
And
have
that's when
noted
you
that.
see the first flirty moments with him and Ellie, where he basically
Yeah.
like, yeah, chucks shit at her and she slaps him and
Yeah, and
yeah.
yeah, she don't like him, and he doesn't seem to like her. But I guess it's that love-hate thing that there's a fine
I
line
don't know,
between.
man. He gives the cheeky grins every time she gets angry at him. Sometimes I feel like he is kind of shit stirring her. Like he just says, and
Hmm.
because he's not exactly like he's a wildcatter, so he's got that rough vibe, So he just sort of says it to her,
Yeah, and Jock's not a player at all. Like you don't get that feeling from him. That's why when they're showing his scenes with Amanda, they're always like tender moments. And like you said, he's trying to
Yeah,
like get through to her, and he's telling her what's going on in his life. Like after he gets with Ellie a little bit, is this when they have sex?
yeah. So
They
they
have weird. I don't know if he came before he even got in there or what.
no, I'm pretty sure she goes to see him, and it ends up just sort of like happening, and like
Yeah, it was weird.
it's all very slow and sensual and like all that sort of stuff. And like,
Yeah, it was
big
weird.
love thing, it's Ellie and Chuck. And it's just, yeah, their first night together.
Oh, before this happened, wait, hold on. Her dad had a heart attack.
Oh, yeah, we should mention this. This is actually important.
Yeah.
Yeah, so while they're also struggling with the land and like, they're finally they said earlier, he's like, oh, the depression, like now that that's sort of like passing and or something like that, we just got to make sure that like disease doesn't kill the cattle and stuff. So obviously the station's in trouble. And I think that's also a sort of a bit of a driving force behind why Ellie is pushing for Digger at first as well, because like even if he's what he is, it's
Right.
still like, she can save the farm. I do actually think that
Yeah.
she cares about him. That's a part of it. Whereas they play her and
Um,
Jock off with a lot more of like a natural sort of like chemistry rather than something that was grown into, like Digger and her seem to be, in my opinion. I don't know, seem more
right.
passionate.
And again, I guess it's a Ewing trait where the first time they have sex, she gets pregnant.
Yeah,
And
it
same
does
way I guess
definitely seem like that.
I mean, I'm sure I would assume JR and Sue Ellen had sex at some point in their 7 years together. I would hope, but
Well, the way
I
they
don't
make
know.
it sound, especially as the show goes on, especially as the TV series goes on, it does sound like Sue Ellen and JR were quite passionate at the start.
At the
You
start,
know, like he
probably till
like
they
the way
got married and he felt trapped.
I'd probably say, yeah, like when because she talks about the way because he was a judge at her Miss Texas contest, you know, and the way he looked at her and everything, like blah blah blah. It's all very sweet and
Yeah,
ultimately terribly toxic. But yes,
for sure. So Ellie's dad seems okay. She tells him she's seeing Jock. She tells Jock that she's pregnant and you got to marry me. She's like, you got to marry me. I'm pregnant. Like that's what we do.
yeah,
In
yeah,
1933, that is what they did, apparently. Um, and they fight and she spits on him. I was like, oh
yes,
damn.
yes, yeah, definitely, quite. And he just sort of just like very shocked. I mean, I even remember thinking that I was like, oh, sleep with him, spit on him the next day.
Yeah,
Like,
right. Like, damn. Maybe that's what they did
but
in
yeah,
1933, spit on people. Nothing worse than that, I
no,
guess.
but yeah, it was like, yeah, she gets feisty and like pretty angry at him, and like, yeah,
He goes and visits Amanda. She's singing a song. She's just in her own world, singing a tune. And he tells her about Ellie. He's like, oh, I think you would like her. Because, again, Jock's not like a scoundrel. He's a one-woman man, it seems. So I guess he knows that there's no Amanda's not coming back from this. So,
well, I think they
he
do
wants
say
to
that
move
a
on.
couple of times. I think they do say that a couple of times that they weren't sure if she was going to like recover.
Yeah. And then we flash forward. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, no. Ellie teases Jock a bit. And then Digger sings and drinks like he always does. And then we flash forward to 1951. Um,
Isn't the song that Digger sings when they marry? Isn't that the exact same song he's singing at barbecue? I swear it is. Yeah,
yeah.
I was listening because I was actually just making food while that part was playing, and I was hearing it, and I'm like, oh, I like that. Like I was just like, that's this, yeah, just a nice
Did
little
you
full
see?
circle
That's
thing.
why. That's why I wanted to watch this. While it's fresh. Like
Yeah,
while these characters, because Digger dies sooner rather than later, and then Jock dies. So
yeah,
like once they all die, if we wait till season 9 to talk about it, like nobody will care by then.
yeah, and
So
it's not as quite as fresh, especially when you're talking like early Digger scenes too, and those like in like it's weird, like a lot of what they reference is in like even just the first two seasons, like
right, right,
yeah, it's yeah, it was I think it was good. And because I was too, it was the first time I was watching it, a lot of it was I
yeah,
was and I was like connecting the dots. And
yeah.
because it's also been a while since I've watched The Lady, like watched it overall, I was trying to remember I was like, is this exactly why Jason and Digger don't talk not Digger, Jason and Jock don't talk anymore,
Jock don't
like
talk. Yeah,
etc. etc. Like I was trying to remember everything, so it was fun.
yeah, yeah. Um, so Digger talks to Jock and Ellie's dad. He blames Jock for taking everything. This is the Willard we know. This is the Digger we know.
Yes.
Um, Willard doesn't want the land. He wants to sell.
Yeah.
Um, Digger. Oh, Digger tried to shoot a bunny. I don't know why he did that. Was he trying to eat? I don't know.
I think it's because what was it? At that point, he's on like neighboring land doing surveys or whatever, and he has to get some results, but he has to cross South Fork to do it. And
Right.
as he's doing it, he's heard about the wedding and all that, and I think that's what sort of spurns him on a little bit.
And then the end was kind of fun. It was Aunt Maggie was there who with Clifford and Pamela, and Pam's like 4, and Cliff's like 8, and JR's torturing him.
Yeah, it
Already.
was weird. It was weird to me that like I don't know. I always got the impression that Cliff and JR were around similar ages. You know, yet they look very
Yeah.
different ages in this, like teen
I
versus like preteen.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think they just threw that in to just like play around. I really don't because I feel like I didn't even know Bobby and Pam knew each other. Like, did they really meet back then? I don't
Well,
know.
like I think they would have known about each other, but yeah, like would they have met?
But just
You know,
never
like I
dated.
always I actually find the absence of Gary in that whole area very noticeable because like why and at the end they say it's Bobby when I was like why isn't that Gary? I wouldn't have thought Bobby would have been born yet. But then JR's a
That's
teenager. Like I do think
right.
that the aging of the children is all a little bit weird and like you
Yeah,
said, like an effort to sort of bring it all in to, you
to
know?
bring it all in.
Yeah.
I have and then like when Maggie goes to bring Pam away, Bobby has this little sad face. And then
Obviously,
we hear the
yeah, it pans out.
then we hear the Dallas music
Yeah. I
in the
think
background.
one thing that
That's
was
it.
a thingo for me is like you can see where Digger still would stay and have the resentment built years later why he still says Jock stole everything from him. Like I think one important thing to note at the end there is that pocket of land that he sold over, he ends up walking over, going to shoot the bunny, and he smells the oil under it, and he fucking starts hitting into the mud and everything because he knows he's messed up and because he sold the land. He's like, "Don't tell me what to do." They were trying to sort of
Right.
tell him, like, "You've got this piece. You could do anything you want with it." And he goes there and then finds out that once again
Yeah,
there's
that's
oil.
true. I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
I
the oil.
forgot he did do that.
Yeah, and that's why I think he's more incensed to. Yeah, that's when he sort of. I mean, he's already drunk, being like thinking, with
Right.
the gun and everything. I keep doing my hand gestures, like. Yeah, but
And
yeah,
we
no.
know there's oil on the land because in the series, they eventually do drill on the land against Miss Ellie's wishes, I believe. That
Yeah, yeah,
happens eventually.
and it is mentioned as like like a tiny little section in the off in the field somewhere. Like not
Yeah,
anything too
yeah.
specific, but enough like general descriptors where you could sort of like, is that the same land? I feel like that's the same land. Yeah, but
So
no,
what did
I
you
really
think?
enjoyed
You
it.
liked it?
I did. I enjoyed it, and I sort of,
Yeah, it was
I
pretty
liked,
good.
I liked that. Like, so it's the way the feud begins, the way the feud's portrayed. At least, sorry, seen from like the kid's perspective. It's so ingrained. It's so black and white. But I like that it's not like Digger is literally just acting like a child sometimes and being like, "Don't tell me what to do. I want to sell my shares, or I want to
Yeah.
do this." And Jock's just sitting there trying to sort of like make his fortune and build a proper life.
Right,
And
right.
yeah, and like Miss Ellie can't build a proper life with Digger, and Jock can't build a business,
No.
with Digger. Like he's just, he's just
Yeah.
a very destructive character, and I like that they were able to sort of do both sides a really good amount of justice in terms of like, Jock being the bad guy and Digger being the sort of downtrodden good guy.
Right, right.
All that. I just liked it. I thought it was a really good dynamic, and I think the actors were really well chosen. I thought they were really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I
But
thought
yeah,
it was good. I like prequel stuff and I like to see like yeah, like it gives you more details and like more of their relationship. Like Jock tried. He really did, like put up with
multiple
Digger for
times.
oh yeah, multiple times to get his shit together.
There were a few
It is what
things
it
like I
is.
just thought that maybe they could have like I felt like they should have at least led into Digger's kids a little bit more, like Cliff and Pam. Like obviously they don't have to like show massive anything, but like because it's predominantly about like Jock and
Yeah.
Digger. But like I just thought that yeah, and like I know that by season 9, Knots and Dallas weren't really intersecting a whole lot. Um,
No.
but I just thought it was weird that Gary wasn't mentioned at all. Like they're all kids and Gary's just not there. Like you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, because
yeah.
he wouldn't have been out on his own. He would have been a little bit younger.
Yeah, well he was JR's the
So
oldest.
right. But yeah, I
But
didn't
yeah,
even think of that they didn't even mention Gary, which is kind of weird because I feel like they could have still mentioned them.
yeah. They
It
could have at
didn't
least had
affect
some little
anything.
blonde child running around somewhere. Like they got a
Right.
blonde Digger. Why not get a blonde Gary? Like
And
yeah.
Gary does return for the finale of Dallas, so like
Mm.
it is weird that
Yeah,
they cut
yeah.
him out.
Well, I do
But
understand to a degree why post season 9, and obviously we'll go get to that when it comes. But yeah, otherwise, when you're doing like prequel stuff like that, I just thought it wasn't anything that ruined it or anything. It wasn't that big of a deal. It
right.
was just noticeable. Yeah.
But like you, I feel like the same. Like unfortunately, that's the way with Yellowstone is with the prequels and stuff. And I feel like they probably should have tried something maybe, first of all, a little sooner, maybe like season 5, 6 in that area, and
Yeah,
do like a summer series, but like they don't think like that anymore, like, or back then they didn't think like that. Nowadays, like I said, Yellowstone has what, 2, 3 prequels, sequels, whatever they're doing,
yeah, something like
where
that.
that would have worked really good with this. This would have been a good pilot, to
Yeah,
start the series in 1951, where they could have done like young Pam, Bobby, and all that, and kind of build on that. But
yeah.
they were stupid back then. They didn't do that.
But no,
We
either
got
way,
what
it
we
was.
got. Yeah, it was a fun watch. But all right, so that's it for tonight's episode of Queers and Soaps. Find us on all the socials, comment, like, subscribe, tell us any interest that you're interested in, and we'll try to cover it. We have a lot going on, so check out everything else we got going on. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.